In December 2020, Haim Eshed, former director of space programs for the Israel Ministry of Defense, claimed in an interview that the US government was indeed in contact with extraterrestrials. Join myself and Neil as we separate fact from fiction in this hot debate.
Aliens Explored is a weekly podcast exploring famous and obscure cases of UFO sightings, alien abductions and other strange events from both a believing and a skeptical perspective whilst keeping an open mind. I'm Stu Jackson, a professional actor and amateur ufologist with a particular interest in the crop circle phenomenon. I'll be debating that otherworldly visitations are real. The truth is out there.
And I'm Neil Kelly. I'm a professional actor as well and used to work for the military as an intelligence analyst. I'll be arguing from a more doubtful point of view. I mean, it's all a bit far-fetched, isn't it? Hello everyone, welcome back to Aliens Explored, the show where we look at UFO-related phenomena issue by issue. I'm one of your hosts, I'm Neil Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Stu Jackson.
And this week we're going to be looking at the case of an Israeli general, Haim Eshed, who claims that he's made contact with aliens and that they walk among us.
Yes. So this is really kind of breaking news as we're recording this. So we're recording this back in December. And this is sort of because we do record these a little bit ahead of ourselves. But this is quite a this is a big thing that's been announced.
Well, it's made the press a lot in Israel, in Haaretz and Jerusalem Post and Jewish Chronicle. Is it Jewish Chronicle? I think.
I'm not sure.
Certainly the Jewish press. Yeah, and also in papers like The Independent in the UK, and it's also on Wikipedia. His Wikipedia entry. In fact, it says more about his extraterrestrial claims than it says about the rest of his long, illustrious career as an Israeli general.
Well, I think that's worth a good mention right there. Is he does have very genuinely a long, illustrious career. He was head of now I want to make sure I get this absolutely right. My mouse has stopped working. There we go. Okay, so he was former director of space programs for the Israel Ministry of Defense. It's actually a retired brigadier general. And he was director for nearly 30 years.
Also an officer in Israeli military intelligence. And
yes.
He was involved with the launching of Israeli satellites as well, wasn't the Ofek 5 and the Ofek 7, which he said would help with what he called the Iranian issue.
Yes. Now, putting sort of his politics to one side, this is not some maverick. This is not some wild-eyed fantasist. This is someone with a very serious career spanning decades.
Who had a serious career, but did he have a serious career and then lose his marbles and become a wild-eyed fantasist? Was he exposed too much to Donald Trump?
Well, there's been reports that, in talking to him, no, he's as sane and rational as he has ever been. I mean, he is getting on a bit. He was born in 1933, so that makes
87
him
now. So
87, yeah. But he only retired 9 years ago. let's not forget. With this incredibly distinguished career, there's nothing. But yeah, those people who have spoken to him, who have interviewed him, have all, like as one said, no, the guy's sane, rational. There's no signs of dementia that they can see, or anything of that nature.
No, but sorry.
No, go on.
Okay, a couple of things. For one, he does at some point say, if I'd have come out with this 5 years ago, they'd have locked me up.
Yes.
Well, what has changed since 5 years ago? Well, there's an awful lot of, people are far more credulous now. That very fringe beliefs like climate change denial, flat Earth, anti-vaxxer, that's become far more widespread. Conspiracies are far more widespread. And as you say, he had a very established career. He was taken very seriously, so therefore we should take this seriously. But look how many people around Donald Trump have thrown their credibility out of the window trying to defend him, and then he throws them under the bus by repeating the lie, or changing his story, So there's nothing.
Yeah, but
it's quite common politics these days for previously well-respected people to seem to have gone off the rails.
Yeah, but there's a difference between someone having a differing political opinion to someone being clinically insane.
But we're talking about
there is a difference there. Just because someone votes for Trump or supports Trump does not, as much as you and I might disagree with his politics.
What I'm talking about is
someone
who is a long-standing politician or senator or government official who's prepared to stand up and say, no, I was in the room and Donald Trump never said that. And then half an hour later, Donald Trump says, well, the reason I said that was because, doubles down on it and makes a liar out of them. And that's their credibility out the window because they decided to stand by Donald Trump. And
okay. So you keep focusing on Donald Trump, and I know why, because but you and I both feel very passionately about that.
Eshed was close to Donald Trump. He claims that there's this Galactic Federation. Stated that US President Donald Trump was aware of this and was on the verge of informing everyone of their existence.
Yes.
But was stopped by the Galactic Federation. So why didn't they stop Eshed? Why didn't they stop Eshed announcing their existence now? He's also said people have died, people will die, and indeed people have died in the past for revealing the existence of the Galactic Federation or to protect the secrecy of the Galactic Federation's involvement on this planet. And here he is just saying it out loud now. So, why isn't he bound by the same rules that President of the United States Donald Trump is bound by?
Okay, I can address that one. So, for one thing, he's no longer in the same position he was in, and it is very easy for people to say, oh yeah, but he's old, we can dismiss him. So straight away he is less of a credible threat than an actual United States president.
But that runs counter to the fact you're saying, well, on the one hand, he's this highly respected head of the Israeli space program, father of the Israeli satellite program, so we should respect him. But on the other hand, we shouldn't take too much notice of what he says now because he's just an old man.
No, what I'm saying is that the decriers, the naysayers, are likely to say, yeah, but he's not credible, look how old he is.
Well, it's not because of his age. I mean, it could be because he's retired. But, you're still bound by these secrets. They don't once you sign the Official Secrets Act in this country, you don't stop being bound by it as soon as you change jobs or retire.
But he has said, the reason he's come forward with this now is because, very simply, he's got nothing left to lose. So let's say he was bumped off, killed off for revealing this.
Mm-hmm.
That would look really suspicious. He comes out and admits this thing publicly, and then he's killed. I mean, that would be almost an admission of guilt.
That would convince me, though, or to make it more convincing. But he says nothing left to lose.
Okay.
But he does have something to gain, because he was speaking about his new book, The Universe Beyond the Horizon, Conversations with Professor Haim Eshed, which apparently is just being released in Hebrew language. Now,
in November, that was released, November 2020.
November, yeah. So Nick Pope, writing in The Independent, he used to actually investigate UFOs for the British Ministry.
Not for the Ministry of Defence anymore, but yes.
No, but formerly for the US Defence. What he said to NBC News were that the claims were either a practical joke or a publicity stunt to help sell Mr. Eshed's book.
Or, because you're only giving me part of that quote, Nick Pope went on.
Okay, he also said his words might have been lost in translation, or someone in the know is breaking ranks.
There you go.
Well, I don't know what that refers to.
Well, so, basically, Haim Eshed is in the know, and breaking ranks is saying things that shouldn't be said.
Now, NASA doesn't know anything about this. Or
NASA claims not to, no.
They said that one of the agency's key goals was the search for life in the wider universe, has yet to find signs of it, or yet to acknowledge publicly they found signs of it.
Yeah.
So we got this guy saying there's this Galactic Federation, which is straight out of is it Galaxy Quest, or what's the
thinking Star Trek?
Is it Star Trek? The Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
The Galactic Federation.
But that's just a name for a collective.
Okay. But he's claiming that they've done a deal with us that we have some resource that they need, and in return for their technology. But surely these highly evolved aliens whose technologies and civilizations are far advanced than our own know that if they provide us with their advanced technologies, we'll just use it to kill each other. You know. Well, and if we've had, if they provided us with, for instance, anti-gravity transportation systems back in the 1950s, yet to see any evidence of it.
Unless it's being used discreetly.
So discreetly that it no one could ever know that it's ever being used for anything.
And let's not forget
you can't. Ideally, you'd equip military aircraft with that capability, but of course you can't do that without revealing that the technology exists.
Well, we talk about UFOs a lot. How do we know that some of those UFOs are not man-made UFOs utilising gravity technology?
Well, how do we know that they're utilising anti-gravity technology? You see something flying in the sky, you don't really know.
Exactly. But
Okay, and he's claiming that the Extraterrestrial Federation included an underground base in the depths of Mars where American astronauts and alien representatives mingle. Perhaps if he could name one of these astronauts who's been there. Just
to go back, because you're throwing a lot of things out, and to address them. So way back, you said about him promoting his book and suggesting that perhaps that was his motivation. Now, interestingly, I have tried to find his book online. Not online, but where can I buy his book? Because obviously, if he's doing this as a way of promoting his book, it's going to be plastered everywhere, isn't it? The man who spilled the secrets. Here, buy his book. I've searched and searched. I've searched your Amazons, your eBays. I've searched Google in general. I cannot buy a copy of his book. I'd like to. I would like to read it.
Is it only available in Israel, perhaps?
If it's... Well, surely Google I'd still be able to find some trace of it. I can't find any trace of it whatsoever.
It's unusual, I have to admit. But
if it is a marketing ploy, it's a really shit one. It's got to be said. His politics to one side. I see nothing to decry the guy. I see nothing to say, well, No, he's
Okay, I mean, not being political, but looking at The Independent, and there's a related article. Trump declares Day of Remembrance for those killed by illegal aliens. So when Trump talks about aliens, he's probably more likely talking about Mexicans.
Well,
or Muslims, isn't he?
I'm going to draw a point about Trump, because obviously Trump is mentioned by Haim Eshed as being about to reveal it, and he was advised to not reveal it. Don't forget, it's only a year ago that Space Force became the 5th branch of the United States Defence.
And is that going ahead? I mean, I've heard very little about it since.
We don't hear much about it, but it's happening. It's certainly costing the Americans an awful lot of money. And isn't Donald Trump just the sort of person? Oh yeah, there's these aliens coming down. You know, he finds out this information as president. Yeah, he's the sort of person that would want a militaristic response ready. I mean, I thought the whole Space Force thing was really strange, and let's not forget Reagan back in the 80s.
Yeah, but
the Star Wars program.
He was addressing a very terrestrial threat, wasn't he? He was talking about shooting down missiles, or targeting ground targets from space.
Well, that's certainly a part of it. That could very much be the public part of it. There is a theory that there was another side to it, that it was defence against extraterrestrials as well. Well, perhaps that was the primary reason, but
I don't remember that. I remember the primary reason being that after decades of talking about mutually assured destruction, and no one would be insane enough to press the button, Ronald Reagan started talking about winnable nuclear wars, and saying that we can put up this shield, this Star Wars shield that would neutralise the threat of Russian missiles, so we can attack them with impunity.
I mean, publicly that was never a thing, but certainly within the UFO community that was certainly theorised.
And certainly
there was more to it.
And certainly there were a lot of offshoots from the Star Wars program that made it into more mundane military use.
Oh, that's
like rail guns and
that's a common thing, though. I mean, a lot of technologies are advanced by the military, by military spending,
because they have unlimited budgets. That's what,
But coming back to Eshed's claims, this isn't without precedent. So Eisenhower's granddaughter said that her grandfather had been party to, in a very similar thing, that her grandfather had been party to some sort of agreement with extraterrestrials, that they had agreed Area 51 could be used as a base for these aliens. Yeah. I can hear you typing furiously to check this out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to verify something.
1957. There you go. But yeah, so I don't know. I still think, why would he do this? Why would he come forward and say this if it were not true?
To promote his book. Or perhaps he's confused about something.
That's a hell of a thing to be confused about, because he has come up with some very specific things. As you say, the idea, this concept that there's an underground base on Mars.
On Mars, and American astronauts are there. Just Americans, are there? No Russians or Chinese?
No. Well, not just American astronauts, but extraterrestrials as well. There's that. There's the concept that there is a formal agreement that they can do experimentations Yeah, I'm. A lot of it ties in with. It would certainly explain a hell of a lot. Let's look at it that way.
Well, yeah, it fits into previous musings about UFOs and such, but.
And, I mean, sort of go with me a little bit hypothetically. If this were true, he would be a person in the know.
He would be, but you know, it's just the fact that he's saying, well, people can't know about this because we're not ready for it. People will panic. People will die. And here he is saying it out loud. This thing that I'm telling you, you can't know.
Well,
that's what I don't get, that basic contradiction in terms that he's telling you something you're not supposed to know because it's too dangerous for you to know. And yet I'm telling you what it is. It's dangerous, and you can't unknow it now. Well, you either believe him or you don't.
I can answer that, which is that it is part and parcel of the acclimation. We've talked in previous episodes about humanity and society being prepared, being drip-fed, almost like, you know, almost kind of programmed, for want of a better word, into preparation for alien contact. And this could be part of it. Here is someone who can come forward, who some people will dismiss, some people will accept. And the more you have I say little, it's a big thing, obviously. But in the grand scheme of things, like across, say, a 10-year period, a little thing like this happening every so often, a few more people get to accept the idea that, yeah, all right, aliens might be visiting the Earth. A few more people believe each time, and they get more and more comfortable with the idea. It is a slow acclimation, but you need these big displays that, yes, some people will reject, some people will be swayed by. And those people who are swayed by things, generally speaking, tend to stay swayed. So as you sway more and more people, a larger amount of the population becomes more aware of what's going on, until you get to a point whereby the vast majority, and there's an exponential growth there. So as you pass a certain point, there's there's a name for it. It's like the event horizon, but statistical. I'm sure one of our listeners would know the correct term. But as you get past that point, it then takes on a life of its own, and as lots and lots of people know about it, and it becomes the new norm, the people who don't believe become the strange ones, the fringe people. And that's the time when humanity's ready.
But that's the thing, because you are disappearing into the world of conspiracies, and I know that there are actual conspiracies out there. You know, my favourite one is 9/11. People are called 9/11 conspiracy theorists. Well, the US government has changed its story on 9/11 and who was responsible so many times that whatever you believe, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're going to disbelieve the official American government at some point because they changed their story. So that everyone's a conspiracy theorist as far as that goes. You can't not be.
Yeah. And how can you disseminate the truth out of that?
Yeah. So, I mean, we are in the era of dishonest governments. Of liars in power. You know, in our own country, we have
especially
a government lied its way into power, which is pursuing breakneck speed a policy all based on lies. So,
well, it's interestingly in our own news very recently. A few weeks ago, there was this big thing where Dominic Cummings, the government advisor, had allegedly been sacked, and he was seen walking out with his box of stuff, and inside sources were reportedly saying, he's had a big bust up and he's been sacked. And I said at the time,
a big bust up with the Prime Minister's girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, I said at the time, he's not been sacked. This is a ploy. This is a tactic to distract people, because nobody official came out and said he's no longer working for us. It was all, an inside source has told us, but we can't say who it is. No, it's come from Dominic Cummings himself. We now found out, not only has he not been sacked, he's had a £45,000 pay increase for fucking the country over. Well done. Anyway, that's getting a bit political. Yeah. Sorry, I feel very aggrieved.
So these are the people who extraterrestrials are getting in touch with, is it?
Well, sadly, yes. I mean, there's nothing about the UK government in Professor Eshed's claims. Nothing I've seen, anyway, about the UK government.
As you say, I tried to look at the book on Amazon, and I can see lots of people have searched for it. You can't get it. It's just not there, so that is odd.
There you go. And that raises another... And, okay, I accept this sounds very conspiracy theorist, but has the book been pulled? Because it contains information that the powers that be don't want out there. It's a question.
I don't know what powers the powers that be have. Do you remember Spycatcher? Was that before your time?
Oh, vaguely, yes.
Basically, a former civil servant wrote his memoirs and called it Spycatcher because he'd worked for MI5. And there was something in it about how intelligence officers got together to undermine the Harold Wilson Labour government of the 1970s. And it was a book that wouldn't have sold. It wouldn't have attracted any interest, really, apart from the fact that Margaret Thatcher hit on, oh no, he can't be telling stuff about our security services, so she banned it. And you couldn't get it in this country, but of course anyone who was going over to the continent, it was on the bookshelves in every bookstore in France, Holland, Belgium, there it was, piles of copies of it for British visitors. Everywhere that Brit visitors would go, there it was on sale. I think it was even on sale on the ferry.
There you go. But we live in a different world now, so I mean, if it is the case that this book has been pulled, that raises some interesting questions.
But there's nothing about that, is there? It just says, some publicity stunt to sell his book.
What book?
It's written by author Hagar Yanai. Published in November 2020.
Yeah, who's also, by the way, a respected author.
There he describes how aliens have prevented nuclear disasters, averting an unspecified atomic disaster at Cuba's Bay of Pigs. Yeah, well, they didn't stop Chernobyl, did they?
Well, no.
or the Japanese reactor that got destroyed by a tsunami.
And there's so much information we don't have about that. We don't know causes, we don't know effects, we don't know why they stopped some things, why they didn't stop others. And just because they're, may have technology way in advance of ours does not make them necessarily omnipotent and all-powerful and able to just stop any nuclear reaction with a snap of the fingers. So...
But he's effectively turning whistleblower on his own department. I mean, whistleblowers usually come from further down the ranks, don't they? They see that the higher up are doing something that they shouldn't do. So how long has he had this bottled up?
Absolutely unprecedented. Well, not that unprecedented, but
he's sat...
Well, nearly 40 years. If he found out about it when he first came in as director of space programs, assuming he found out early on in that role, nearly 40 years. There's absolutely no way he could have talked about it whilst in the role. Coming out with it straight after retiring, I think would have been incredibly dangerous. Maybe there was a reserve activation clause in his retirement that expired. I'm speculating there, but I don't know. But there we go. It's time to summarise. So Neil, you don't sound terribly convinced.
I'm not convinced. Yes, he's a high-ranking military figure. I'm ex-military myself, so all the more reason to disrespect high-ranking military figures. I know what sort of drivel they can come out with.
You're biased.
I'm very biased against military people. Having been in the military, I know how crazy they can be. I don't know. I would like to know more about Haim Eshed, more than we're being told now. I would like to know if he's under any kind of psychiatric care or.
The answer is no.
Or if he should be. Or, I would like to see where this story goes. Is it just going to fizzle out, or is something going to come of this?
I think in the general public, absolutely. I mean, those of us in ufology tend to remember these things.
But it's a great story. The former head of the Israel space program, an officer in Israeli military intelligence, has come out and said, the Galactic Federation, or a federation of extraterrestrials, has been in contact with us. We've done some kind of deal with them. It's all strictly hush hush. You're not supposed to know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I would like to see, and then what happens? If this was a movie, this would be the start of it. What happens next?
I mean, I think personally, this is it. This is the story. It's done. He's come out. He's said it. I think we'll get him clamming up from here on it. I think we'll get. I mean, NASA said their piece that, we don't know of any extraterrestrials. There you go. But they would just say that anyway. And that's better than them not responding to it, because that would look bad. So they come out and say, "Oh, no, we'd know." No, but you wouldn't say anyway.
Yeah.
No, to me, this is a total smoking gun.
I'm just so aware you could get sucked down such deep rabbit holes when you get into conspiracy that on the one hand you've got someone like Haim Eshed saying something that you think, that sounds believable, and then when NASA say, well, no, we don't know anything about this, it's bollocks, you say, well, yes, of course that's what they'd say, but it's I don't know if you're... Are
you disagreeing with that? Do you feel that's not what they would say?
No,
that if it were true, they would admit it at this point?
No, but there's a confirmation bias, isn't there? There's he's saying something which fits in with lots of other stuff, which fits in with... It doesn't cut across anything that ufologists have believed for a long time. He's just saying, well, actually, it's all true, and they've been in touch, and we're just keeping it secret for now. But of course, only you know. Well,
for me, it comes back to motive. He's got no real. I mean, to promote a book, he'd sacrifice his reputation.
As you said, he's got nothing to lose on that score.
Well, I mean, he has his reputation, and it is, and like I say, politics to one side, it's a really good reputation. Here's a serious career man with a very serious career, with very serious qualifications and credentials, and he's basically, for want of a better word, pissed all that away to tell it to bring this message to people.
Okay, the thing that I really don't get is, I know from my own experience in the military that security classifications are put on things, and things are classified according to the amount of damage that would be done by their unauthorised disclosure. So secret information is defined as information the unauthorised disclosure of which would cause serious harm to the interests of the nation. Top secret would cause exceptionally grave damage to the interests of the nation. So this guy, he's at the top. He's the chief. He's the chief in the Israeli Defense Force space program. He's probably had a hand in deciding what would be the damage if this was to be released now, and why, what security classification is appropriate. So he's obviously been in the loop when they're saying, no, this would cause tremendous harm if this got out. This The
Yeah.
public cannot be told about this because people will die as a result. It will cause mass panic. It would whatever. And what now? He's just spouting top secret information that he was right at the top of. It just seems, he might be telling the truth, but it's grossly irresponsible.
But now he's retired, it's less damaging, and it also works towards acclamation.
It's still the same effect, isn't it? This information was classified top secret because of the damage that will be caused, the harm that will be caused if it was divulged by if it reached unauthorised sources. And then he's just divulged it. So he's caused, presumably, by his own definition, he has caused exceptionally grave damage to the state of Israel.
Well, he hasn't, because a lot of people are just dismissing him.
Well, it's either one or the other. Either it was overclassified and the fear that unauthorised release of this information would cause panic was actually overblown, that nothing of the sort would happen, or else he's just decided, I don't care. I'm just going to release this information, and whoever dies, dies.
I would say that there is a world of difference between an active director of a space program revealing something like this and a retired director of a space program revealing it. I think there is a different response that you can expect from society.
I don't think so. I think because he's spent his life in the military and in intelligence and in space, satellite launches, a space program, because that's been his life. The fact that he's retired, and he's had several different jobs within that life, but all towards the same thing. And he dropped one job, pick up another, drop one job, pick up another. He's dropped a job now, not picked up another one, officially retired, but he's still. This is what he's all about. It's not like me saying something. Nothing I could say could be taken as an official military line because I left the military 35 years ago. But with someone like him, no, I think he carries. Yeah, when you look at his Wikipedia entry, it's all about his career: electronic engineering, aeronautical engineering, military intelligence directorate, and then boom, straight underneath his extraterrestrial claims. You can't. He's retired too recently to separate the two.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean that, and let's not forget there is also the possibility that just because he was told he had to keep it under wraps as director doesn't mean say he agreed with the assessment.
But he would have made the assessment. That's what I'm saying.
I think if you've got this Galactic Federation telling Donald Trump what to do, I think the director of the Israel space program is probably easier to tell what to do. Anyway, we started summarising some time ago, and then we got on tangent. So there we go. But what do you think, listeners? This is clearly a bit of a hot subject for Neil and I. Something we're getting
we're coming to blows over it. I'll see you outside.
Yeah, we're certainly but no, 2 meters apart and no more than 6 of us.
Well, we'll fight a socially distanced duel.
But yes, but what do you think, listeners? Do you agree with Neil that there's just something very strange about all this and it's not to be taken too seriously? Or do you agree with me that this is something we should be listening to very, very carefully? Or is there something else going on, do you think? Do tweet us, message us, tell us what you think. Don't forget to join us next time when we will be discussing an event from 2000 in Illinois, a UFO event on January the 15th.
January the 15th.
2000. 2000.
2000. Chicago.
Illinois, yeah. Neil is scribbling this down frantically so he can do his research. Brilliant.
So at least know what the topic is when we go on.
So don't forget to join us next time. In the meantime, keep watching those skies. Take care for now.
Bye bye.
Aliens Explored is a Fecal Films production in association with Juicy Falls. Music by Darren Mafucci and editing by Stu Jackson. Find us on Twitter or Facebook by searching Aliens Explored, or visit us on aliensexplored.com.